Fannie O'Brien stepped inside through the back porch screen door. It clattered shut against a sinking sun that cast long, dripping gold rays across the turned black earth in the western field. She headed straight to the kitchen sink. A platter of cold meat and bread sat on the table for supper, along with a bowl of steamed dandelion greens that Patsy picked that day. But Fannie was too thirsty and exhausted to care about eating just yet. She filled a glass with cold water and gulped it down without a breath. Then she wiped her wrist across her chin, closed her eyes, and breathed long and deep. Finally, she looked at Mom, who sat at the table sipping her chicory coffee, an odd, far-off expression on her face. Lately, that was nothing new. "You all right, Mom?" Mom lowered her cup to its saucer. "Sit down, Fannie. We need to talk." Fannie pulled out a straight-backed chair and seated herself with more of a plop than a plum. "You didn't have to wait for dinner. Where's Patsy?" She reached for a slice of bread and a thin piece of beef. "We didn't wait. Patsy ate and is off somewhere." Fannie scraped a little butter over the bread. "Jerry will be home soon." Mom watched her for a long moment. "What did you want to talk about?" "I think it's time we ask for help." Fannie froze, her hand poised in the air, a pinch of bread between her fingers. "Help?" She didn't mean for her voice to carry the tone that Mom's suggestion was ridiculously impossible. Mom gave a single nod. "That's what I said." Fannie nibbled the piece of crust, then set the rest on her plate and brushed crumbs from her dirty fingertips. She'd forgotten to wash before coming to the table, and the day's grit still clung head to toe. Who would ever have thought, just a few weeks ago, that she'd be sitting here with dry, cracked hands, grime embedded at the roots of her hair and in the pores of her knees, and every bone aching like she was 60 instead of 22. She ushered out a weary sigh. "And who might we be getting that from? There's not a farmer in the county who isn't short-handed. Every family we know is struggling to find workers now that the migrants aren't coming like they used to." It was a bitter fact. The war had taken their men, her 2 older brothers included. Her dad in another way. Those who remained behind were either too young, too old, or stretched too thin with their own chores to help anyone else. "There are other workers." "Since when?" Fannie let out a huff and folded the bit of meat into her bread for a bite. Mom watched her chew, then scooped up some greens. "I'm talking about those German prisoners, the ones the government is sending out to help at the farms and canneries." Fannie nearly choked on a dandelion green. No wonder Mom let her swallow her meat first. She shook her head. "No, don't even think about that. We're not going to have those Huns on this place." The very notion made her chest burn with indignation. Dad would roll over in his grave. She lowered her eyes, ashamed for that last part, and let the dandelion work its way down. "I'm sorry, Mom," she said, when she could look her in the eye again. "You're forgiven, but I think you're wrong. Your dad would tell you it's got to be done." With grubby fingertips, Fannie stroked a circle on the dark oak tabletop, marked with years of bumps and scratches, but as glossy and strong as ever. Every fiber of her body rebelled against Mom's insistence, but she didn't dare argue 2 split seconds after apologizing. She'd let Mom have her say, but Dad would never have allowed it. His farm, this property, would not be trampled on by those men whose every intention was to kill his boys. They maybe already had,